Okay, welcome back everybody. Okay, so let's just get this started. Let me double check on my device. Yes, it's on there. Let me turn it down. It's gonna be all loud and rude. Yeah, so my name is Tiana. We do a bunch of stuff on this channel. Following my micro Locs journey is the biggest thing on here. Yeah, I do DIY projects. I talk about teaching a little bit and sewing a little bit and singing just a little bit. So yeah, I have been sharing. If you have been following me, I shared a couple of hair stories for you all. I shared what made me become a hairstylist in the first place, so make sure you check out that video if you did not. And then I followed up with what made me go natural, which is always a fun story to tell, just to kind of look back, because that was a whole process. And then the follow-up to that video actually would be why I locked my hair, but I did that a while ago. So again, check out my channel, check out my playlist, and one of my lives I explained why I locked my hair and even why I chose micro Locs as my form of locking. So before we get into today's video, y'all, I am loving my hair. Like, I was supposed to wash it. This is Bantu knots. Thank you, girl. This is Bantu knots, and I was supposed to wash it like 3 days ago, and for whatever reason I didn't. And so yeah, this is what we're looking like more, and I think the more they fall, the more I like them, which is weird because if you watched my live takedown of the Bantu knots, I was telling you how it gives you more of a wave than the curl former does. Like, there is some curls, but the actual locks itself, like if you look at an actual lock itself, this is not a curl. This is like wavy. But when they all come together, it looks curly, but essentially it is wavy. And honestly, I'm not a fan of waves. Like, I'm not a fan of, not waves. Waves are okay. They're okay. I'm not a fan of crinkles, like crinkles. And they are kind of borderline and crinkly, but I don't know, it's working for me, so. Thank you. Yeah, and the middle part worked out today. I guess I just woke up and that's how it was. I have not slept with anything on my head. Okay, so to preserve the curls, I'm getting off topic, y'all, but okay. To preserve the curls, I usually do a pineapple. Like, that is my method. That's my way of sleeping. But I haven't felt like doing a pineapple, and because I'm supposed to be washing my hair, so I raked through all the curls with my hands, like raked through them all, and I think that added to its fullness. And I haven't been sleeping with anything on my head because I do have to set in pillowcases, and I'm supposed to be washing my hair, so I haven't slept with anything on it. And I guess when I woke up this morning, that's how it fell, I think, in the middle part. So that's how we end up with the middle part, but I like it, and I like it. Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Shades of Sage. Let me know what y'all think. I like it. But yeah, that's a little update. So I did do the hair stories. Make sure you check those out. And like I said, when you're looking for the ones about why I locked my hair and why I chose micro Locs, those were a few months ago, but they are still in my lock playlist. I do have a couple of playlists on this channel, quite a few, because I do quite a few things. So I have a few playlists on this channel for you to check out. And yes, I have my lock journey, my niece's lock journey, my sister's lock journey, because they have traditional locks and their sizes are different and their methods of starting are different. So if you're interested in any of those lock journeys, make sure that you go to my channel and you check those out. And also, before I get started, and I promise, I think I'm gonna get started soon, but also before I get started, don't forget to wish Shades of Sage, my sister Tashima, a congratulations, because she reached her first milestone and has 1,000 subscribers, so that is super duper exciting. And also, this just so happens to be breastfeeding month, I think, and particularly the last week of August, I think the 25th to the 30th is going to be breastfeeding week. So make sure you stay tuned to her channel. Her channel is about all things motherhood, and I'm sure, hi mom, I'm sure if you're a mother, that if you watch her channel, you will definitely find something you can relate to. She really does focus on all things motherhood, but I think her biggest passion is breastfeeding, so she gives tons of breastfeeding tips, labor and delivery tips, recovery tips, all kinds of things like that. So if you have any questions about that sort of thing, you can reach out to her. Go to her channel. Make sure you follow us both. She's Shades of Sage on her platforms, and I am Tiana Hicks on mine. But yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and of course YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, y'all. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. And yes, and I'm trying to reach 1,000K. I don't know what that really is. I'm trying to reach 1K soon. So yes, all of your support is lovely and appreciated. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, our watch time matters. So the more you watch our videos, the more you watch the whole video and enjoy the whole video, the better it is for us, and the more we can go and reach out to more people. And of course, lady, you are welcome. Hey, thank you for joining, Dad. I wonder who was first. I wonder who was first, y'all. We always do this thing to see who is first and stuff, and especially with birthdays, we always do it to see who's first in birthdays. Whoever texts the closest to midnight, that person's first. So we always have this competition. All right, so we are talking about what made me become a teacher. Again, don't forget the thumbs up and subscribe, all that fun stuff. All right, I'm going to try to tell this again. This is off the top of my head, and I'm going to try as much as possible to stay in order. I want to say the very first thing is maybe the first thing. All right, first and foremost, if you don't already know, I am a teacher. I teach elementary, so I teach like the lower grades, like kinder, first, that type of thing, little babies. They seem like babies, but those years are just so important because they learn so much. And I do talk about it a little bit on this channel, and I do have a playlist for teachers and one for students and parents, so you can check that out. There's some videos on there for you. So yeah, so I am the third out of 10 children, and I think that is a big factor that made me want to start teaching in the first place, because we always help out with our siblings. Like, we were just kind of raised to be kind of a close-knit family, and because there is so many of us, we just always helped out. And we, even in our home, like there's 10 of us, and we used to say like the big kids and then like the little kids, or the older kids and the big kids. And you know, the little kids, they don't like that because now they are not little kids anymore. Our baby just graduated, so he's 18. So they're not little kids anymore, but it used to be a divide because there's a little bit of a gap, I think, between child number 5. Just a little bit of a gap. So yeah, so as being one of the big kids, right, being a third, I got to help a lot with the younger ones. I got to help with a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I helped out with a lot of stuff, and you kind of wanted to as well. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed like the babies and feeding them the bottles, changing their diapers, taking care of them, all that kind of stuff. And then as it was a lot of us, of course, we played a lot. Like, we played a lot. It's not like today's generation, which is kind of sad. It's not like today's generation where, you know, everything is video games and yeah, video games and the phone. Like, that is like all young kids care about: video games, the phone, iPad. Like, I feel like that's sad because when I was growing up, we played. We used our imagination to play in the house, and we was only playing in the house until 11 o'clock because that was the time our parents said, and we could not go outside because we couldn't be loud for the neighbors. That's what they used to tell us. Can't go outside and be loud for the neighbors, so we was not allowed outside until 11 o'clock, right? 11 in the morning. So, yes. So, we had to play in the house, right? And, of course, when the street lights come on, then you got to come inside. So, now you got to play in the house again. Like, we played and used our imagination so much all the time. And one of the things I love to play was school. Like my sister just mentioned. I love playing school, y'all, so much. Like, and because there were so many of us, I had enough people to make a classroom. So we would play school all the time. We would get notebooks and stuff, pencils and papers, and play school. Someone had to be the teacher. Somebody had to be the principal. and somebody had to be the students, and I almost always was the teacher. Like I wanted to be the teacher, or I wanted to be the principal. And then yeah, we would play with each other. I remember one of my brothers, he used to make me so mad because he always wanted to play the bad kid. And I'd be like, you can't act up every day in school. Like every time we play school, you can't act up. Can't you just be the good kid for once? So he would always act up, and I always had to send him to the principal's office. He used to make me so mad, because I was like, you're not playing the game right. You gotta play right. Y'all gotta be good students. And yeah, so we played school. And then when we were growing up, my dad used to do like and mom used to give us like projects and stuff to do. So we did those kind of projects and things in the home. Like during the summer, we would do projects and writing reports and things in the home and present it to one another. Like we would have to do it, get our information, write it out nice and neat, prepare it, and then present it at home as if we were in school. So we did a lot of that stuff. Like education was big in our household. Our parents did push for that. And then like I said, we played school. Every moment I can get, we played school. And I thought that was fun. So with us having all these beautiful kids and being able to help with them and then being able to play school, I just started to really develop a real big love for it. And I remember I think I honestly decided, thank God, that I wanted to be a teacher when I was in kindergarten. I remember I had a teacher in kindergarten, but she was older. She was an older lady, and she got sick. And so Terrence was the bad student. Terrence was always being bad, and he would make me so mad. But I had a teacher in kindergarten. She got sick, and I can't really remember if I liked her or not liked her. Like I cared about her because she was my teacher, and I just back then was just so sensitive. I cared about everybody. So I cared about her. But then this lady came, was like this long-term substitute. Her name was Miss Nelson. And I just thought Miss Nelson was so pretty, and she had like, I think she was like Hispanic, so she had like long wavy hair, but she would do the thing that they do sometimes where they like put gel or something in it, so like their hair gets kind of hard, like kind of hard, like that was the style. And I just thought her hair was nice, and she had like a raspy voice, and I thought that was nice too. Like, yeah, Terrence was being bad, but yeah, I thought that was nice too. And I just love Miss Nelson so much, and I thought school was the best place ever, and we got to do circle time and all this fun stuff. And I think having Miss Nelson as my kindergarten teacher made me think, you know what, I definitely want to be a teacher. And so I would sit there and just watch everything she does and pay attention to it, so that when I went home to play school, I would know exactly what to do. And then we just played that. We played that all the way up. So yeah, so we got to play school a lot. And Miss Nelson was the best kindergarten replacement teacher ever. And I don't even know what happened to the other teacher, because I can't really say I remember her coming back. But I know that she wasn't sick. And if I'm not mistaken, Miss Nelson had a convertible. I think I saw her one time outside of school, and she had a convertible, like this red car. Either she did, or I made that up in my head at the time. So I don't really know. But yes, I think the things that I did when I was playing a teacher, I did the same thing. I do some of the same things now as a real teacher. Alright, so yeah, then I remember, so like I said, we used to help out with our siblings a lot, and I remember my brothers getting into middle school, and they were struggling with things in middle school, and my parents were working quite a bit, so they couldn't really help as much as maybe they would have wanted to. So my sister and I took the role of kind of helping them. Like, we wanted to bring up their grades. So we kind of like had a whole plan of what they was going to do when they came home, and how they were going to get their homework started right away. And I think we might have even given them like a little break. Like, you got like 15 minutes to relax yourself, and then we're going to get this homework done. And we were helping them, and then we were watching their grades come up more and more. And that was encouraging too, to see kind of where they started and then see their growth. And that has always been something that kind of stayed with me even today. Like, I really love to see where a child or a student starts, and then see their growth, and then to know that I was a part of that growth. And not only was I a part of that growth, but I will forever be a part of that growth, especially in the younger grades. So that's really nice too. But yeah, helping my brothers out, that was another big factor that I remember being a big thing as far as me wanting to be a teacher. So honestly, I wanted to be a teacher pretty young, y'all. I wanted to be a teacher pretty young. And then, so, like I mentioned in my hair story, by the time I was in high school, I was kind of set on knowing I'm going to be a teacher. I was kind of set on that. And you're very welcome, Mom. So when I went to high school, it was an option because it was a trade school and you were going to learn something. I had two options: either become a hairstylist, and like I said, check out my other video on why I decided to be a hairstylist. Don't forget to thumbs up and like this video. But I wanted to be a hairstylist, and I also wanted to be a teacher, and I was really torn on trying to decide which one should I do. And I felt like for sure, I definitely want to be a teacher. So I went with the teaching program first, but that was called Early Childhood and Education or something like that. But when I was in it and we were learning about it, they were going to teach you about, you know, everything you needed to learn about, like kind of childhood development. And they might have taught you like lesson plans and stuff, and there was a little like daycare there that after a while, when you were like a senior or junior, you would work in the daycare. But when it came to finding out what were we going to get at the end of our 4 years, it was just a certificate that said I completed the program. And I already knew, because I had done my research, I already knew that to work in a preschool, you only needed to be 18. You didn't need a certificate to do that. And any training they wanted you to get, they would train you then. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to waste 4 years on something that I don't need to do. Because I knew I didn't want to be a preschool teacher. I wanted to be like a teacher that worked in elementary school. Like I knew I wanted to do like first, second, third. Like I knew I wanted to do those grades in kinder. But they were saying that, you know, you wouldn't be able to. That certificate was not going to be enough. You would still have to go to school. You would still have to get your bachelor's, and you would still have to tag on to the certification of being able to teach those grades. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that because I feel like it'll waste my time, and I could do that in college anyway, since I have to go to college anyway. And that's what made me go and switch to cosmetology. And then I just put off teaching until I did go to college. And then yeah, when I went to college, I just kind of started right off the bat with early childhood education. Like there was something else I wanted to say. Okay, so I started off with early childhood education, and then I tagged on Spanish. So I have my degree in early childhood education and in Spanish as well. So at first I was just minoring in Spanish, but I really knew that I wanted to work in an inner city school. So being a teacher, being a student, I just kind of looked back and was trying to think to myself about my teachers in general, and just kind of trying to think how many teachers of color did I actually have. And I didn't have that many. I think from kinder all the way up to high school, I didn't have that many. I maybe, and that still is not that bad, but I think I had like maybe 5, give or take. And that's teachers of color. And then when it comes to narrowing it down even more to see how many black teachers I have, I think that was only like 3 of them. 3 that I can remember having. So I knew that being a teacher of color and being a black teacher was a big deal. And I really wanted to give back to kids that I felt like aren't always given an opportunity to have good teachers. Because being a student, anybody that's been a student, and that's all of us can name like the teachers that were really, really good and had an impact on us, and all of us can name the teachers that were like, they were not good. Whether you were a child and they kind of came off as a, I'm just doing this for a paycheck type thing, or they didn't really care about the students. Like, we all know those teachers who mistreated students. By mistreating them, I just mean by like, they didn't care. They did not care. And so I knew then I wanted to work in inner city schools, because I felt like if anybody would see too many of those teachers that didn't care, it would be the students in inner city schools. But I also knew that the inner city schools have a heavy population of Spanish speakers. And one thing I'm big on is trying to connect with the parents as well, because like I said, my parents were a big part of my education and encouraging me to go get my education. So I feel like the most successful students, not all, but many of the most successful students that I see in my classroom and that I know of are because their parents were present. Somebody was present. Somebody was like always on top of them, like, look, make sure you get your schoolwork done. School comes first. Be focused, that type of thing. So I wanted to make sure that I could connect with all the parents, and I didn't want it to be a barrier just because they spoke Spanish, that I wouldn't be able to convey to them what I need to say to them because they only speak Spanish. And when I did, so I was just going to minor in Spanish. But while I was minoring in Spanish, we saw a lot of videos, and not only in Spanish, but in childhood studies, they would show you videos of students that had to kind of act like a translator between the teacher and a parent. And you could tell that the parents, as a parent, you want to be able to talk to the teacher yourself. You don't want your 6-year-old child trying to relate to you what their teacher is saying about them, or your high school child trying to relate to you what your other child's teacher is trying to say about them or about their education. Like, I didn't want anything to be lost, and I did not want the parents to feel any type of way because they can't communicate with me, or I gotta always call for a translator when I want to talk to them. So that has worked out pretty well. But yeah, my heart is in inner city schools. I love working with that demographic, and it's really funny because I knew it would be a big deal, but it's even more of a big deal than I saw, because I work, like I said, I work in an elementary school. And my school happens to be on the street, so it goes from like infants all the way up to high school. And so sometimes I have to walk from my parking lot to the actual school. And so many kids recognize me, even kids that I've never had, like kids I've never had, high schoolers that I've never had. They recognize me and they'll call my name and like, hey, Miss Hicks, how are you? Or they like my outfit, or they like my hair, that type of thing. And it just helps me realize that representation is important. Like, I didn't always think that representation was important, but it really is important. Like, it means something to them to see me, even though I'm not even all of their teachers. I'm not all of their teacher, and even the students in my building, I'm not all of their teachers, obviously. But you could tell how it just really makes a difference for them to see somebody of color in like a respectable way. And not only a respectable way, if they are my student, or if I do happen to see them, or whatever the case may be, they do know that I care. And the parents that I work with know that I care. And I try to fight and make sure that the kids have whatever it is that they need. But yeah, that's pretty much the story. I got to play a lot of school while I was a child. And then helping out my younger siblings really made me love it even more, and seeing their growth. And to this day, I still love it. I still love to see the growth of the students, and I am very grateful that I learned Spanish, because like I said, I don't have to call for a translator. I can kind of communicate with the parents myself, and the kids too, because you get kids that only speak Spanish, and so I can communicate with them and kind of still get the curriculum across to them even though they only speak Spanish. And then, like I said, representation, it matters. And it mattered for me as a child. Like I said, I could tell you how many teachers I had that were of color and how many were black, because it mattered. Because I was counting to see. Like, it mattered to me, I guess, to see somebody in that position, or for it to be even more possible to yourself. So yeah, I knew. So then I really am glad and grateful to kind of be that representation for others as well. So let's see, I saw some comments, but I didn't read them all. So let me see. Let me go back to the last one I read. All right. So my dad said, is that like teaching a child how to tie their shoes or something? Yes, that's true. I think it's just something really awesome about knowing that you stick with them. Like, I could pretty much tell you all of my teachers that I had in school, because I remember. And then there's certain things that teachers teach you especially elementary teachers, that will stay with you, like basic school skills and how to be a student. That is all learned in elementary. And then like basic facts, like basic math facts and basic reading skills and how to read and stuff. That's all elementary. So it's really amazing to see. Like, I remember one child that I was tutoring. I became his tutor because he was struggling with reading and writing. And then, but by the time we finished, he could pretty much read anything. And he was in kinder at the time. Was he in kinder? Yes, he was in kinder at the time. So I started helping him towards the end of kinder. I think in like April. But he was falling behind in what he should know how to read as a kinder student. But it was nice to see that by the end of our sessions, he could pretty much read anything. And I would watch him do the different techniques that I taught him, like tapping words out, or how to sound it out, or how to move your fingers, or what a blend is, and all that kind of cool stuff. And I would watch him say things to himself that I would say to him in order to decode a word, or watch him mark words and just be able, just be able to do it so much easier now. And now, for the rest of his life, he will be able to read, and I was a part of that. Like, I was a part of his reading and him being able to decode words. So that's really, really cool. And that's what I like about elementary school too, is that we are a part of like their basics, their basic foundation, we are a part of. A martial art teacher. Yeah, and I think that just goes with any type of teaching that you do, or any type of thing that you learn. That person always remembers you, especially if it was something that they're going to use, And all of us need to be able to read. All of us need to be able to write. All of us need to be able to spell. All of us need to be able to do basic math. So that person will always be a part of them. So yeah, martial arts or whatever the case may be. Thank you, Shades of Sage. Yeah, I was torn between the two, but because I really wanted to do both. But I am glad that I chose the cosmetology, because like I said, I was able to do style hair for quite a bit while I was in college, and then make money from that. And then when I finally did get what I needed to start working in schools, then I kind of I think I stopped doing hair in a salon and just focused on finishing the rest of my schoolwork. But I was able to work with students then and start working with them and getting more experience that way. Wait, okay. Muy bien, Shades of Sage, you too. You and your kids are funny. Y'all gotta learn that Spanish, y'all. Yep. Alright, so let me see. Thank you, Shades of Sage. I try. I really try. See, my dad, you can remember some of your teachers. I think all of us can remember our best teachers, we remember it, and our worst teachers, we remember it. Like, even, I think in college, I remember a teacher that was not good. In school, I remember teachers that weren't good. And if for me to say you weren't a good teacher, because I was one of the students that was a quiet student. Like, I would not volunteer to give out information. Like, I would not raise my hand and answer questions, even though I knew the answers to questions. Like, I would not raise my hand and answer it. So I was a quiet, good student that would kind of fly under the radar type thing. So then I tried to make sure that those students, I would remember them. Because one thing I saw in school that I didn't really care for, and I still see it in schools now, is those students, and I get it to an extent, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of it. So I get both sides of it. But those students who are constantly misbehaving, constantly misbehaving, honestly, they get a lot of attention to the point where everybody knows their names, right? All the teachers know their name. All the principals know their name, but they get a lot of attention. And I understand, because part of it is you're trying to encourage them to have a good day, right? But at the same time, I feel bad for those really, really good students who are just, they really, like, if any of you ever get a teacher that tells you or comments on a report card or anything like that, that your child is a delight to have in class, like that is one of the best compliments. Because the truth is, there are some students who are so good and they just do what they're supposed to do. Like, they're good. And obviously all kids make bad decisions, they're kids, but there are some kids who like really try to do their best for their teacher, for their parents or whatever, and they really try to do their best, but those are some of the same kids that go unnoticed. And I hate that with a passion. I understand being encouraging to the other types of students that maybe struggle with a lot of stuff, but I also try as a teacher to try to really take note of those students who I don't have to talk to them every day. Like, I could tell them what we're doing in class today, what we need to do, these are the directions, this is the plan, this is how today's supposed to go. And I don't have to go back and stay on top of them and have them do it. Like, and that is a delight. Like, that really is a pleasure to have those kids in class, because you don't have to worry about them. You can get them extra stuff, enrichment stuff, and kind of build them up. But those kids sometimes go unnoticed, and sometimes I feel bad. Like, I feel bad that like other teachers don't know their name and other principals don't know their name. So if you are a teacher watching this, I think, or an administrator, I think that we need to do better with acknowledging those students. And I mean beyond just like the simple award ceremony, because when you do an award ceremony, it's so many people called, nobody's really remembering them. But those kids that are just like the little quiet good kids, like, they need recognition too, because God help you if they turn and be another type of student, then you'll definitely know them then. But we should be able to appreciate them and recognize them when they are on top of things, when they're doing everything you're asking them to do, the way you ask them to do it, and you don't have to worry about them every day. They're just coming to school. It's like they're just hanging out with you and learning all at the same time. All right, let's see. Am I the easygoing teacher or the Miss? Huh? Miss Nelson? Me? Miss Nelson? Little old me? Yeah, I'm definitely probably closer to Miss Nelson. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Listen, I was thinking about this too, y'all. One thing, alright, so I teach the younger grades, right? I like their sweet little spirits. But when kids get older and they become their own selves, if they are not taught at a younger age, and I think this goes into something I was seeing down here, because you asked, what advice would you give to students and parents that's helpful in the successes of the students' education? And I do have to do a separate video on this, because I have been asked this, especially by Shades of Sage, to give advice. One of the biggest things that is missing in and with our youth is respect. There is not enough of a separation between how you treat your peer and how you treat an adult. And if kids do not learn that young, ladies and gentlemen, take it from me, if they do not learn that young, that is not something that can be easily instilled in them when they are older. So I really, really try as a teacher of younger students, I really try to teach them what it means to be respectful. And they, even at this day and time, they have to learn what it means to be respectful to adults, and what it what it means to be respectful to their peers. Even that is like missing. So I am big on respect, and I think if nothing else, children have to learn to be respectful, and that there is a difference between parents and a child, and there's a difference between students and a teacher. Like, we are not on the same level. So when it comes to being the nice teacher, which I can't remember her name. What's the nice teacher's name? Did you put it there? I can't remember her name. Or Miss Nelson. To some people who are not used to it, I am Miss Nelson, because I am very, like, this is how it goes. This is what I said to do. Don't make me repeat myself, please. Don't make me repeat myself. Like, I shouldn't have to say it more than once. Like, that's me. Like, that's me. At the same time, I am very like the way that I am, I would guess at like home and things, and maybe a little bit on this channel, to where I'm like playful. Like I will play with my students. I will play, if we go outside, they know I'm the first one to play like basketball with them. We will run around. They always think it's so amazing when I climb up in the playground thing, because obviously you don't see a lot of teachers actually walk on the playground equipment. Like we kind of be around, but I will go right up there to the top. Like I will play with them. I will have a good time with them, and I will try my best, like I said, to reward them, especially for good behavior, and especially if I don't have to do things all the time. But at the same time, I am big on respect. Like I am big on respect, and I'm big on manners. And for some students, they don't get that because it's their first time seeing it. And for some parents, they don't get that because it's their first time seeing it. But yeah, I do believe in like having a proper behavior in class, but that comes from respect. Like that comes from them being taught respect. And then I would think my number 2 biggest thing that parents should do is teach their children how to sit still. Like children should know how to sit still. Like they should. And if you notice, for those of us who, well, if you think about your whole school career, your whole school journey, if you think about it, as the older you get, the more and more you have to sit still, to where you don't even have recess in high school anymore. You know, in like 8th grade and things like you didn't really have recess. You didn't really have, obviously, nap time stops at a certain age. Like the older you get, you are more required to just sit still and take what the teacher gives you and learn it. And whether or not that teacher is being fun, or whether or not that teacher is making you play a game, like that teacher, especially like in college and a higher, like if that teacher just wants to sit there and just talk to you the whole time, that's what they're going to do. They're just going to sit there and they're just going to talk to you the whole time. But knowing how to sit there and still gather information, that starts when you're young. Like children need to know how to sit still when they're young. And that's not a big, what do I want to say? Like people are not as big on that as we were. Like coming up, we were big. Oh, Miss Nelson is the nice one. Oh, Viola. Oh yeah, I'm Viola a little bit, and sometimes I'm Miss Nelson. Viola, yeah, so it's not a big thing. Like I remember my parents used to be like, all right, it's 6 o'clock or whatever, all of y'all sit down. Like all of y'all sit down. And I remember as kids, we used to be so bad, because we would say to each other, like, if you wanted the house to be quiet, why did you guys have 10 kids? Like that's what we would say to each other, because we'd be like, why do we gotta sit here and do nothing? Because to us it'd be like, how do you expect a house full of kids to be quiet? But as a teacher, I understand that, and I think parents would understand too, that there are times that children have to sit still. But if they have never been taught that, that is hard. And in class, if your child does not know how to sit still, that is hard, and that's going to create a lot of issues. Not just sit still, but like how to sit still and be quiet, but yet ask questions to kind of engage, or if you don't understand stuff, like how to take what you're being taught and apply it. But you can't take what I'm telling you if you weren't even sitting still and listening to it. Now in the younger grades, you obviously don't have to sit still as much. But in the older grades, it gets more and more. So it's really important to teach your child that while they're young. And when young, I mean toddler. Like toddlers can sit still. Like teach them, and it don't have to be long. It does not have to be long, but they do need to know how to sit still, because kindergarten for some kids is a really big transition, because they come from preschool where they have tons of free time of being in like the different centers and playing in the different centers, to kindergarten where there are at least 2 times a day where you have to sit and maybe listen to a story, or sit and talk about letter sounds. You know, that circle time that we all know about in school. That is them sitting still. But imagine how much the child is really learning, the child that doesn't know how to sit still, or the child that is sitting still, but they're not focused. Like they're not paying attention to you. They're quiet, but they're not taking what you say seriously. So there's so much I could say about that, like so much. So that really is a whole nother video. But I think the two biggest things you could do, especially if your child is younger and if your child is older, is respect. Teach them how to respect adults, and yet know what's not appropriate for adults to do. And if an adult do something inappropriate, how do they respond to it without being disrespectful, right? Without being disrespectful. And then two, how to sit still, because whether they're big, whether they're in a high grade or a lower grade, sitting still is important. They're not going to learn what you need them to learn if they can't sit still and then learn how to apply that information. Monthly award ceremonies in a classroom would be nice. Yes, and in a classroom, yes. And I do try to do that sometimes. I do try to do as many awards and recognition stuff as possible. But I also think it needs to be like a school-wide thing, like more a school-wide thing. Because like I said, there are some students I've never taught, but I know their name. And I do not know their name for anything good. I know their name because it comes up in conversations it shouldn't come up in, or you hear people always calling your name from afar because they're trying to get their attention. Like, you know their name because they're misbehaving. And yet those good students, those students that are listening and following the rules and the directions and stuff, like, some people don't know their name. Like, you, as another teacher, you would not know always the other teachers' group of those students that's always doing what they're supposed to do, or that's always trying. Like, I don't think that we recognize them enough. And I'm always trying to think of ways to make it a school-wide thing. Like, why shouldn't all the teachers know that little Johnny in my class is reading on a 2nd grade level, but he's only in kinder? That's, like, go ahead, little Johnny. Like, shout out to you and your parents. Like, we should know that. Like, that should be broadcasted. And yet, and still, the things that get broadcasted is little Jared, who was misbehaving and cut a fool yesterday in class. So now, because he cut a fool, because he did it loudly, now all the other teachers heard the teacher calling Jared's name, or saw Jared acted misbehaving. So now they all know, hey, that's Jared. Remember the day that he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing, versus poor little, I forget what I called the other boy, Jerry maybe? Poor little whatever his name is. See, I don't even remember his name. The poor little good boy who's reading on a 2nd grade level, and he's only in kinder. Like, he should be shouted out, and he should be known around the school too. Like, hey, wouldn't it be amazing if those students who are really good, like if teachers would come to them and say, hey, I heard that you just got a 100 on your test, that you aced the whole test. Congratulations. Instead of it always being, hey, so-and-so, are you going to have a good day today? Like that, sometimes that gets said to students by people who are not their teacher, instead of good things being said for those who are not their teacher, but they know that these students are always putting in the work. So I try really hard to notice those students myself. But I think that as teachers and administrators, we should broadcast them more. Like, they should get more recognition. Yeah, we was definitely saying that, Mom. We was saying that too. And yes, and that is probably my dad's side that makes me say, listen, that's one of my rules too. Like, I should only have to tell you one time. And then, you teach them those things. And then as the year goes on, as the school year goes on, I don't even have to say things like that. I just make sounds. Like, I just make sounds. Like, one of the things I do in my class is, like, being too loud, or something's going on that shouldn't be going on, and I'm, like, maybe far. All I do is say, and then the whole class will just go quiet. And I don't do that on purpose. Like, I never taught them, listen, when I say, everybody be quiet. But they just know whatever's about to follow is not going to be something that y'all want, so don't even let me follow up with the sentence. So I usually don't have to do it. As the year goes on, I just be like, and I'm ready to say whatever I gotta say, but the class goes dead silent, like dead silent, because I shouldn't have to say it once if I already said it. Don't make me say it again. Yeah, I just make a sound, y'all. I just don't even say words anymore. I just make the sound. I make the sound, and it works. But thank God. But But again, I do think it's both. You got to teach them that you love them, and you teach them that there's a respect too, like love and respect. And I try to be respectful to them, and because I want them to be respectful to me and their parents as well. But a lot of that starts at home, y'all. A lot of that starts at home. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, y'all. Get your last comments in. But yeah, that's pretty much why I wanted to be a teacher. I think my biggest thing is I love to see the growth. I love to see the growth. And like I said, with the younger kids, I know that the stuff I'm teaching them now will always be with them. So I do try really hard to teach them and to talk to them and to have those conversations about how do you be a good student? How do you be a good learner? Like, how do you be a good learner? And I would recommend that if you are a parent and you have younger kids, especially like your toddlers, you know, to have those conversations. Like, that's a conversation to have. What does it mean to be a good learner? Do you expect to learn if you're doing this, or do you expect to learn if you're doing that? Like, what does a good learner look like? Yeah, did I say excuse me? I don't know, but I know I definitely do the one. And it's so funny because I just noticed that last year that I say and then everybody gets quiet. But yeah, you gotta have something. But that takes practice, right? That takes practice, and it takes a lot of training. And that's why I say it starts off young. Like, the younger your kids are, the better chance you have with it. But it starts off young. You gotta have those conversations about learning in school and the teachers in school and how to do your best and stay on top of them. But like I said, this is a whole nother conversation because it just takes so much for students to be successful. But like I said, some of the most successful ones I've seen are ones whose parents are on top of them. And even if their child is struggling with something and learning is maybe not the easiest thing, and whatever that topic is, the parents who stay on top of them, they will always see growth. Like, they will always see growth because you're going to do whatever's necessary, and you're going to work with the teacher and your child, and you're going to make sure that they're getting all that they can. But yeah, y'all, that is my story. Don't get me started talking about education because I could talk about that longer than I could talk about hair stuff. But yeah, so in a nutshell, I basically wanted to be a teacher ever since I was young. The earliest I can remember, like I said, is kindergarten, and kindergarten is like 5 years old. Like, I was set on being a teacher when I met Miss Nelson, and I watched the whole, like, I just saw how the class worked out, and I watched it, and I loved it, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, that is my story. Let me know if you want any more videos. Like I said, I do know I've been asked to give, like, maybe the top 5 things that kids need to learn or need to know as far as entering in school, like going into preschool, whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'll try to do those. But if you have any other suggestions or questions about education, yeah, go ahead and make sure you leave them in the comments down below. Yes, again, congratulations to Shades of Sage for her 1,000 subscribers. Very proud of you. Don't forget to subscribe to her channel and check out her channel on all things motherhood. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up this video and subscribe to this channel. We are talking about locks, hair care, all kinds of things, and sometimes you get some educational tips along the way. Yeah, but that is it for today. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for your questions. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, let me know. I have other stories to tell too. Like, I could tell you about singing, what made me start singing. Like, that's a whole story. There's just a lot of things that I like to do, so I have stories behind all of them. But yeah, and even like sewing, like what makes me sew, or the DIY projects, that type of stuff. So let me know if you're interested in it, and absolutely positively I could do a video on that as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget the thumbs up. Until next time, adios.